like to sign the MOU, and then we'll come back for the. He's the Vice President for Knowledge Management at the Asian Development Bank, officially. And finally, we've got Deepak Gupta, who's a former back. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some thoughts from each of us to begin.
Sure.
Thank you, Excellency, for those remarks and also for the introduction of the DREW Incubator. Before I go into the details of the DREW Incubator, I'd like to thank a couple of people, in particular ADB, for funding Mike O'Sullivan to be able to develop this concept. I also thank ADB for the assistance in developing new insurance products for Fiji, which we are currently actually working with them and various other organizations like World Bank and IFC. As the Minister rightly pointed out, that we need to be creative, we need to be innovative, in particular in the space of finance. As the Minister also pointed out, that the reason why we need innovation in finance, because the current or the older systems of financing for climate change does not necessarily fit in to the requirements that climate change brings about, the pressure that climate change brings about. It becomes a lot more marked, in particular for smaller island states, where the economies of scale do not necessarily exist, where there is a lot more private sector or ready private sector interest in those countries. So it is very critical, and we are very pleased, and we're very grateful for this assistance by Luxembourg to develop this DREW Incubator, because as we have seen, that for many of these projects, and ultimately, as the Minister also pointed out, we need private sector participation to maintain the sustainability of these types of instruments and going forward. However, we do sometimes need initial seed funding. We do need initial seed funding, not just to kick off the project in a practical sense, but also to provide that incubation, that collection of data, the ability to access and be able to talk to all the stakeholders, so we come up with the best proposal, we come up with the best structure to ensure the durability of such instruments. And I think that is very, very critical. And so, the funding by Luxembourg is very much appreciated, because it's sometimes with this amount of funding, if it was not there in the first place, the concept would never be actually materialized. So it's very, very important. We'd like to thank you very much for that. Just by way of what the DREW Incubator will do, DREW, as you know, is a double-hull sailing boat. It's actually in the Bula zone. You'll see it out there. And essentially it's to signify the fact that we're all in the same canoe, we're all in the same boat, all have the same purpose. In this particular case, the DREW Incubator is intended to bring together all the Pacific Small Island developing states, governments, and broader community stakeholders to work with leaders in finance, investment, insurance, to develop, incubate, and transformational and scalable financial insurance products and programs that will ultimately increase the flow of climate finance, especially private sector climate finance to climate adaptation, which is, as you know, that mitigation seems to be a lot more attractive in terms of financial investors, but adaptation is a new space for many of them. So we need to be very creative about that and deliver efficient insurance mechanisms that meet the specific requirements of PCs. The good thing about insurance is that if you are able to develop the right products, and which currently we do not necessarily have, you also build resilience into that, because in order to be able to get a particular insurance product, you need to meet certain compliance requirements. And so sometimes by meeting those certain compliance requirements, you're actually mitigating your risks. So you don't necessarily depend on the insurance payout, and hopefully that you'll be building structures, you'll be building systems, you'll be building buildings that will actually have some greater compliance, so they won't get that necessarily damaged. The DREW Incubator is intended to build on, not supplant, processes that are currently underway, and is intended to work to progress the COP23 presidency objectives through December 2018 and beyond. The initiative will also seek to use the convening power and opportunities enabled by the COP23 presidency to provide a particular focus on, as I mentioned, climate change, finance and insurance, will also serve to pursue other various initiatives and priorities identified on the Suva Climate Action Pacific Partnership event, or CAP. We will also be having another CAP event next year. This includes a call for a focus on cross-cutting climate financing that include funding for NDCs in adaptation and climate and disaster risk management. Since the CAP event, the initial work of the Drew Incubator has been undertaken to take a stocktake of various finance and insurance programs and initiatives that currently exist or are being developed, which can assist the Pacific. Again, there's a lot of, we need to develop the level of complementarity. The Germans just a couple of days ago launched the Insure Resilience program of theirs, and this will actually feed into that. And the idea through this incubator is to be able to also take a stocktake of what's out there and what's available to ensure that we actually have all of them funneled through a particular process, as opposed to people shooting off in different directions. And I think that's also been one of the challenges for us too. So without saying too much, I'd like to also give a plug for our green bonds. Fiji launched its first green bonds. It's the first emerging economy to do so, the third sovereign in the world to do so, after Poland and France. And as I mentioned at a gathering last night that was held by Barclays Bank last night, that for countries like Fiji, where we have issued the green bonds, even if you had small investors from Europe, private investors or state investors, investing in green bonds such as Fiji, the Fijian green bonds, which is a very modest sum, it's only $50 million. It will, however, lend that credibility to our bond. And we have also maintained that we need good governance structures around it. We need transparency around it, but proper accounting around it too. So in our case, we have a independent third party that will actually assess and validate the spend that has been raised from these green bonds, to ensure that the investors know that when they invest in the Fijian green bonds, the money is actually going to where it was the stated purpose for. So I think that is very important, and we can be rest assured that we'll continue with that particular focus. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to once again thank the Honourable Minister for her presence and for government's assistance in this matter, and we look forward to working with all of you. Naka, thank you.